What started as a bride's TikTok video garnering tens of millions of views catapulted Kandra Jones into a level of visibility that she never saw coming. The situation, it's actually every wedding vendor's worst nightmare. If you aren't familiar with the situation, less than a week ago, a bride went on TikTok and posted a video of her washing off her bridal makeup just 20 minutes before she was about to walk down the aisle. In the video, she talks about how she doesn't want to see the makeup artist and she doesn't want to tell the makeup artist that she doesn't like her makeup and that she'd rather just do it herself. Now, that's all well and good, and everybody has the right to not like their makeup and to wash it off and do it themselves if they want to. What sent the internet into a firestorm was when she said this.
Oh, I can't wait to make a TikTok about this.
But here's the thing, Kandra navigated it with such poise and professionalism that the results may surprise you in the best way. I'm sitting down with Kandra Jones, owner of Twirly Shears, and the makeup artist who has gone completely viral on TikTok because one of her brides washed off her bridal makeup just 20 minutes before her ceremony. Saying that her life has been completely turned upside down as of 6 days ago would be an understatement. In today's episode, Kandra is getting super vulnerable and we're talking all about what happened, how she stayed calm in the face of chaos, and the incredible opportunities that have come from what seemed to originally be a business catastrophe. Plus, we're unpacking all of the lessons that she learned from this and how it can help you to navigate this situation or something similar if it ever happens in your business. Because let's face it, the age of viral moments is not going away anytime soon. Trust me, this is an episode that you do not want to miss. Okay, so Kandra, I am so excited to be sitting down and chatting about this because you and I have been texting back and forth and I am just like, there is so much to learn. I'm sorry that we're learning from your situation. Like that kind of stinks, but this has been honestly, I think we all agree it's going to end up being amazing for you. But I am dying for our listeners to really kind of hear from your side, like how all of this went down on the back end. I just want to say thank you for being really vulnerable to come on and share what this has been like. We're going to dig into all of that. So thanks for coming on and sharing your story.
Of course. Thanks for having me. So many things can be learned from this from so many different perspectives and walks of life and everything.
Yeah, when Kandra and I first started talking about it, I'll kind of share a little bit from my perspective because I'm an outsider, right? Like Kandra is in my program, which actually is how I just like almost fell out of my bed at night because I was actually out of town and I was in the hotel room and like trying to catch up from the day because I'd been in a meeting all day. And I'm just scrolling TikTok, it's like 11 o'clock at night and I'm seeing video after video about this bride who washed off her makeup and oh my gosh, this is so crazy. And I'm watching the video and I'm like, wow, this is wild. And I just see video after video after video. And then all of a sudden I see your face pop up in your response video. And I was like, what is happening right now? Like, what is happening? And so I run to your Instagram, like, I'm not hallucinating, right? This is Kandra. And then I'm like, what? So I went down the whole rabbit hole. I was up so late. And then I think I texted you the next morning, like, girlfriend, like, what is happening on TikTok right now? So I think a lot of us were like that, right? It sparked virality within a couple of hours, I would say. So I would like to hear it from your perspective, Kandra. So just so everybody kind of knows, you were not on TikTok at all prior to this happening, right?
No, well, to be honest, I did create an account. I thought it was a year ago, but it was actually 3 years ago. So I was like, I'm going to try it. And then I was like, absolutely not. Like, I just don't have the time, effort, or energy to like learn this platform. So I got out. So it was like,
okay, so you had the username, but nothing
I had
else
the
really.
username, but nothing else written. Yeah. Yeah. And I was not involved in 3 years in it at all. Yeah.
So this whole podcast, you guys, is about what vendors can learn on how to handle this situation. So this is completely off topic, but little side note, grab your usernames on any new platform as soon as you can, because I'm not even kidding, I counted. I have blocked 7 dummy accounts that are like yours that are trying to impersonate you. So can you imagine if this happened and you
actually,
couldn't even get your own username?
I never thought about that until you brought it up right now. That was a blessing that I started it and abandoned.
You had the username, but you weren't really on TikTok. So walk us through kind of like that, maybe that first day, that first couple hours.
Okay, so I was just there on Tuesday living my life. I was actually just living my regular life. I was actually in a one-on-one hair and makeup lesson with a planner friend of mine, and a girl on my team, her phone call came through and she doesn't normally, we always text, like nobody calls, and so I was like, that's kind of weird, but I didn't want to interrupt the time I had reserved for this lesson, so I ignored it. And then her text came through and I read it and I was like, what? And thankfully it was like someone in the industry and a friend of mine, and I was like, okay, I'm sorry, but we gotta pause. Like, this is what's happening. So she and I were like, what? So we like try, together. And so the text that came through said, there's a video of a bride washing off her makeup on TikTok and it's going viral. You were tagged in the original Instagram post of hers, I think from her wedding or something, because her Instagram account was linked to her TikTok. So you could go that way. After seeing this message, I do the same. I go to the bride's Instagram and look at all the photos and my name's not attached to any of it. So I'm like, that's weird. So I reach out to my artist and I'm like, okay, but my name's actually not anywhere. She said, she's been getting so many comments that she removed your tag. And I was like, oh, okay.
Did you remember the bride though at this point? Or,
okay.
I mean, we do
Oh yeah.
hundreds
Let
and
me
hundreds of
back up.
brides.
Yeah. Let me back up a little because when she said that, and then I told her, I'm like, I don't have TikTok. I deleted the app. I don't engage with it. So, she sent me a screen record of the video. And as I was waiting for her to do that. I was trying to think because we honestly don't attract problematic brides. I think it's just like our brand. Like honestly, like they're all like angels. I would say 98% is an ideal client for us. Like it is crazy. So I was trying to think if there was any bride that was maybe kind of like, it was a little bit more challenging to work with. And also like thinking in my mind, which artist was it? Because she said twirly shears with tags. So that could be anyone on the team. And so I was kind of like, my heart dropped for like whoever this was for. And then she sent the video and I saw the bride and I was like, one, thank God it was my bride and not any of the other artists. But two, like it's not computing because this bride, when I spoke with her, worked with her, there were no issues. Like we did the preview. She did reach out like after the preview and was like, I would like these few things tweaked, which is not uncommon at all. And I said, okay, fine, no problem. When we were chatting, we like had great conversation, uneventful, but I did feel connected. Because I love Jesus, like anyone it's like a fellow sister when you find someone else out there. So I'm like, hey sister, so I felt a connection that way. And then on the wedding day, it was fine. Like there were no issues. She like has the biggest smile like naturally. And so when she gave me I did her makeup, I asked if I could take a video and she gave me the biggest smile. And so it
was beautiful.
I don't know. So then seeing this, I'm like, I don't understand. And then some of the comments that were made in the video were not accurate. And so after that, I was like, okay, I don't know how TikTok works, right? But I know how social media works. And I know that things blow over. It's hot 1 second and then someone does something the next minute and then that's hot. I was like, I don't really know what to do, but what I'm going to do is just wait and see how it plays out. Maybe it'll blow over. I really don't want to get on TikTok. I don't have the, again, time, energy, bandwidth to learn that platform. So, but I just waited and waited, but it was just going insane. Personally, it doesn't bother me at all. I don't care that she washed off her makeup. I wish she'd have talked to me, but whatever, personally, it doesn't bother me at all. But as a business, this could ruin me. And not only me, this isn't just my livelihood. I have a team. So it affects 10 other people, not just me. So I felt I had to just address the issue. So I downloaded the app again, logged in, and then I filmed that video. And in business, it has to be unemotional. The emotions in business is what gets us in situations that are sticky. So I just came at it from the facts and from the unemotional perspective. And she is beautiful. My makeup, her makeup, no makeup. She's a beautiful woman. So there's no need to tear her down. We all do things that we regret. So that's what happened. So then I made that video.
Was there any part of you that was like, I don't know if I should make a video or should I just I know you said you were thinking it might blow over. At what point were you like, I have to address this?
So the makeup lesson was at 1:30. So we got this at 2:00 and then I posted my video the next day at 3:45. So I would say that night, as people, I was just laying low still because I still wasn't on TikTok. I was also getting bombarded with DMs, bombarded, not in negative ways, but people are like, girl, there's this girl on TikTok that tagged you. There's this, so many people looking out for me and being like, this is what's happening. Here's what's happening. Yeah. And so my friend Shelby at Damn Good Marketing, she's a social media manager. And so reached out to her and I was like, help. like 911,
Right.
like what do I do? What do I do? Like I know also you can make a wrong move. So I didn't.
For
That's
sure.
that's the other reason I waited, because I'm like, I don't want to do anything until I can talk to somebody that I know and trust in how to handle this. So I reached out to her. She gave me some advice. I reached out to like one of my networking groups, and one of the girls there like seriously took me under her wing and was like kind of guiding me, because she is on TikTok and she knows the TikTok world.
Yeah.
She's like, I just really urge you to make a response. And so I thought about it, like prayed about it, and I was like, okay, I guess I could. I didn't want to propel the drama in any way. So I was thinking that through, like, if I make a response, is it going to create more drama? You never know what is going to happen.
No.
To protect the business, I chose to make a response video, but to do it professionally, unemotionally, and just address it, and then hoped it would just stay there.
Well, we all know it didn't. But
No.
what I think is a good lesson, I want to just pull this nugget out, is I think you made a really good choice by saying it can't be emotional in business. Understandably, when you have 1 million people watch a video and just start flooding you, that can be emotional, right? Like I could see how that could be emotional, but I think you did a phenomenal job of keeping the emotions out of it. So I want everybody to hear that too. Like take a beat, take a minute, and make sure that you're not speaking from a place of hurt or frustration or anger, and just speak the facts.
To speak on that, I was an emotional wreck, just so you know. I
Okay.
was
Thank you for saying that. I didn't want to say that
yes,
for you, but
I was emotional. So I was, well, one, shocked, two, hurt, just every emotion. It was overwhelmed. The amount of DMs, I was filled with joy, the emotion of joy that this makeup artist community like had my back on a platform I wasn't even involved in. So I personally, I was very emotional. It was, but my response as a business had to be unemotional.
yes, I love that, because you're absolutely right, and you've shared that with me that like it's very difficult. It sucked your entire week last week, and it's kind of like I have business like life that I have to get back to, and now I have to deal with this, which is very challenging, and like all the emotions, anger, hurt, frustration, confusion, it all can come in. But you made such a cool, calm, collected response. When I was watching it, I was like, go Kandra. Like so calm and collected, so well done. And what's interesting, and we'll talk about this, is it was the perfect response for like 99.5% of the internet has like joined you in this mission to be like, I didn't do anything wrong here, right? And so I love this for you. Walk us through that. Okay, so you had to get this response video done, and how did you keep the emotion out of it? And maybe just walk us through the thoughts on what you were gonna say.
I kind of played it in my head a little bit, but I had to, so because I was emotional, I had to let the thing is you can't respond immediately, because then it will be very hard to not be emotional. So I had to let the emotions play themselves out somewhat. My husband also owns a small business, and he has taught me along the way. So I've been in the industry for 20 years, and I was 19 when I started. And when you're young like that, everything hurts your feelings, right? Because you just don't have life experience. So he has taught me, and we've been together for 26 years, married for 20. So he's been with me through the whole career and journey. So he's been my rock through it all and taught me how to take the emotions out of stuff. Like I'll come to him with a situation and he'd be like, okay, but look at it this way, like take the emotion out. So God has used him to prep me for this moment over the years. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy. So that's how I was able, I am in life able to take emotions out of a lot of situations and see them from an outside perspective. People comment on that about me, but that's how I was able to do it.
And so really from the video, it looks like you just really spoke from your heart. Like you weren't like, bullet 1, this is what happened. Bullet 2, this is what happened. You just really like, it looked like you just turned on the camera, which I know you did think through it, obviously, but it looked like from an outsider's perspective, you just turned on the camera and spoke from your heart. Is that really what you were trying to get across?
Yes, and that is what I did. Like I didn't even write it out beforehand and read it through. I just like in my mind, I was hoping I would remember all the things I did want to talk about. Honestly, it just like, I don't know, the words just flowed. And
they did.
That honestly, I love Jesus. He has been so present in this whole thing. Like it is not me. I don't know. People aren't going to want to hear it. Like hearing that, not everyone believes that. But for me, this is what's happening. Yeah. For me, the Holy Spirit spoke with the words through me how to handle it. And so it is me. It's my voice, but it's not me alone doing this.
I Could not agree with you more. And you're right. Like, not everybody has the same belief, but for you, and we talked about this. It's like what somebody meant for not good, God turned into good. And I think it's been amazing to watch. It's honestly been unbelievable. I feel like every time I refresh TikTok, I'm like, Kandra, like, this is so insane. So you had basically 0 followers, maybe a few, right, on TikTok. You put this video out in hopes that it's going to then die, right? You're like, yep, I put the video out. It's going to die.
I put the video out so that people would stop asking questions. Because on her video, there's so many comments. There's so many, did you have a trial? Did you do this? And I could see all the questions. So I read the comments, saw what people were wondering. Her comments started getting crazy. Like, you don't know how people are going to interpret anything. So it could affect my business. So it was to protect the business. So I wanted to address the questions that were immediately being asked or most concerning to other people so that my DMs would stop, so that her comments would stop. And again, remember, I don't know how TikTok works. I still barely understand it. I had no idea. My intention was not to get followers. My intention was not to get views. My intention was like for those that care to see it and answer their questions.
And you did a great job of that because, Kandra and I were talking about this a little bit before the show, but this situation is so similar to the Sepia Bride situation that happened earlier in the year where I think most of you know that there was a bride that was upset with her photos because she was too orange and it was a whole drama. It was so similar, but in that case, the internet was sort of divided. I think, you do have to be so careful. I mean, that poor photographer, it's like, what do you do to get ahead of it? And so I think you did a really great job of looking at the questions like, did you do a trial? Did the hair and makeup artist ask you if you liked it? Like all the things, right? That of course you did. But I think it was really, really smart of you to kind of get ahead of those questions. So did you kind of post that video and then go on about your day? Or, I mean, obviously didn't go on about your day because this was consuming your life, but
it was. I like, they call it post and ghost. I posted it and ghosted it. Yeah.
Okay.
And I went about my day.
And how long until you logged back in and were like, what is happening? This is, I don't even know how to describe it. Viral isn't giving it enough of a description. It wasn't just viral. It was like mega viral.
Yeah, that's what people are saying. I know like Instagram viral is different than TikTok viral, different than YouTube viral. So I don't know how to interpret the TikTok numbers. So honestly, I don't remember if I even checked it that day. People saw it. They were DMing me like, you did a great job. Like I was getting feedback, which was good. But the thing that like made me realize it was insane was I was talking to my sister-in-law on the phone, and then my nephew who's 16 was with her, and he was going insane. So the younger generation who uses TikTok, he's like, oh my gosh, like he was freaking out, and I'm like, what does this even mean? So when he started like freaking out and like being, I was like, oh, I guess it is a big deal. And so I'm like, what does this mean? And what does this mean? And like, he educated me so much on TikTok that night. And
because you're right. Like my daughters had seen it when, I'm texting mine like, okay, this is viral in my world, but have you seen it? Because I have 2 teenagers, and they were like, yeah, like it's all over TikTok. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is huge.
Yes. Yeah. So then they came over and we ended up like, because it was so crazy. I was home alone when all this was happening. My family came over and we had a TikTok watch party to watch the numbers. So to watch the numbers go up. And then my other nephew's girlfriend, we were talking and she's like, oh my gosh, Jelly Roll's wife just commented. I'm like, what?
No way.
Yeah.
No
and then
way.
she's like, and Alabama Barker. And I'm like, who is this? Like, who are these people?
That's so insane. You're like getting, famous from just this video. And so were you starting to then at that point feel like this could turn in my favor, or were you still a little bit nervous about what could happen?
Once I said my piece, I felt like I did damage control for the business. Yeah. So like if you still had issues, whatever, like we're not meant to work together. And that is fine. Not everybody is meant to work for everyone else, So after I posted, I felt okay on my own, being like, at least I addressed it. I did what I needed to do. Let's move forward. But then when mine started going viral, I at no point thought it was going to go negative anymore. It was insanely positive. And then now a new emotion of being so overwhelmed with support. Like it was honestly like crushing the weight of like, I don't even know what the words, like there are no words because I was not ready for this.
Everyone was loving you. And what I thought was really interesting is, I just kept seeing video after video of makeup artists, planners, other vendors just being like, this is, this was the perfect response. Like, go show her some love, all these things. But what I loved was the next morning when you and I started chatting and you were like, I woke up to 56 inquiries. And I was like, girl, what? Like, so not only is this just a viral moment, right? Which is super fun. I mean, I don't know if I would describe this whole situation
I don't
as
know.
fun. Maybe you think it's fun now, but we're, just so everybody knows, we're 6 days post scenario recording this, right? So it's been less than a week that this went down. So maybe you think a little bit differently about it now. But when you and I started talking the next day and you were like 56 inquiries, I'm like, okay, wait, so this isn't just a viral moment. This is actually going to turn into business for you. So now you went from overwhelmed with gratitude, overwhelmed with such incredible feedback, but now like overwhelmed with what on earth do you do with all these inquiries, right? Like, walk us through that.
So yes, the first day was 56, but then as we were answering them, my assistant and I had to tag team. Normally she'll handle like the inquiries and then I, work the other part of the business, but we had to tag team that day so that we could respond. And as we're responding, we're getting more. So we had a meeting this morning, she and I, and we have gotten 120 inquiries.
That is crazy.
More than we get in a year.
So let's put that in perspective. It is January 13th.
Yeah.
And you've gotten 120 inquiries. That is absolutely insane. And you and I were chatting a little bit about this before the show. Like, obviously 120 inquiries aren't going to convert, but even if a small amount of those converted, that would be amazing. And to be honest, with the way the TikTok algorithm works, there are people who haven't even seen this yet or that aren't engaged yet, right? And so they're like, I'm saving this because I want to work with these people later. So like, this definitely can be a long-term thing, right? Would you agree?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And there are like people have reached out, not inquiries yet, but like messages, and they're like, I'm not engaged yet, or like, I'm getting married in 2027. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to save you and reach out. Yes.
You're like, okay, yeah, do it. You are at 396,000 followers on TikTok.
That's crazy. The number is mind blowing.
I'm looking through your TikTok feed. The original video has 80.9 million views.
When I was watching it, I was like, how are that many people on their phones right now?
Right?
It's
I'm like,
crazy. Yeah.
That feels difficult to comprehend. And then from there, I mean, your next 3 videos got in the multi-millions and your videos are still trending at, several 100,000 views. And so let's talk about that for a second. Cause I know one of the things that you had mentioned in the group was like, I want to make best use of this, right? Like, obviously God has turned this into an amazing thing for you, but like, how do you not fail on it? How do you steward it well, right? This opportunity. So one of the things that I know was kind of challenging right from the start was like, okay, but now what do I post, right? So talk us through a little bit about what that felt like or what you were thinking then.
Because I've been given a gift that I don't know the value of, I wanted to have somebody who does know the value of it. So I hired a social media manager to take over because one, like I'd said, I am not familiar with the platform with TikTok. I have a whole other business to run. I am a wife, a mother. Like I have other things. Like I have to get back to my life. So I can't take on TikTok and learning it and engaging, but I need to take advantage of this opportunity. Yeah. And so I hired my social media manager. She's doing a fabulous job. We check in every day. I approve everything. I am still there. I'll read through the comments because I'm just curious. People are saying like, I do read through all the comments. And speaking of comments, I thought it was so funny. One of my Instagram stories got reposted without me knowing, but then I ended up posting because the TikTok community is amazing. They are. Like one person's like, post this to TikTok. So I did. And then in it, it's like, I will get back to all the messages because it matters. But now it's at like, I don't know, 30,000 messages or more.
Right.
So it's impossible. Like I literally won't be able to do that.
Yeah, you definitely cannot, which is totally fine. I mean, if they want to inquire with you, they can certainly inquire with you, right? Which, yes, let's do that, right?
Right.
And now some of the things that are coming up are brand deals, right? Like you're starting to get brand deals that are reaching out to you. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah. Well, before the brand deals was reporters. There was like a big magazine, a talk show, and several other magazines. And I molded over. And at first you're like excited because these are like names that you're familiar with. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then I thought it through. And their job as media outlets is to make money, and drama sells. And so I chose to decline all the offers because I don't want the drama to go. I want the drama train to end. I'm fine doing podcasts. Like I've done one other podcast. I have another one lined up, but I'm very much vetting it. And I do want to speak of it from the business side, and because there is so much to be learned from this that has nothing to do with the incident per se. I mean, that's what catapulted all this. But yeah, so before it was media. So now we're over that. We're done with that. And now it's just like, this is wild. So now, yes, now I'm having people or companies reach out for partnerships. Yes.
That is crazy. And I love this all so much for you. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, it really is every wedding vendor's worst nightmare. I mean, we all watched it play out with Sepia Bride. We've seen it in smaller doses. You know, you have what happened a couple years ago, or the trend a few years ago was, you know, somebody was unhappy with their services. They'd go blast a terrible Google review and then get all their friends to write a Google review. And then you'd have to spend months trying to get Google to understand, like, these are bogus reviews. This wasn't even the client. Like, take it down, right? And so I definitely know that was one way that they were kind of coming at. Now, I really do feel like TikTok is almost this new way of people that get a service, don't like it, and instead of telling the service provider, I have issues, or I would like to change it, or here's my feedback, or honestly, go on Google and write a review. That's your prerogative to absolutely do, or to make a video saying, like, I didn't really like my makeup, so I washed it off, not a big deal, right? Like, it doesn't have to be this whole thing. But you made a good point when we were chatting, kind of talking about the way that this generation works. I'd love to get your perspective on this, because as we're kind of learning about how are we going to battle this as service providers, I'd love to kind of know what you think about this new generation coming up.
So I didn't really consider it or think of it until I started thinking about you and teaching. And in the accelerator, you talk, when we're in the sales and marketing portion of it, you talk about selling to this new generation. We buy a certain way. So you kind of just, it's worked for years. You assume that that's the same. So you are the first person I've heard speak of this new generation as in a business way. And when this was happening, one, I never thought this would ever happen. Like, sure, we are freaked out about a bad review. You know what I mean? Like, I never ever, and again, because I'm not on TikTok, I didn't know about the Sepia Bride, and apparently there's another makeup artist situation that I didn't know about.
Right.
So I was in my Instagram beautiful bubble, and then I got thrust into this one. But when I was thinking of your words when I was going through this, because as I was reading the reviews and watching people who have remade videos, 90% side with me, but we are of a certain age. There's another age, I would say 25 or under. They side with the bride, and it doesn't have to be sides, honestly. I don't care if she washed her makeup off. But the younger generation sees things from a very different perspective. They grew up behind a screen. They don't speak to each other they don't have face-to-face conversations. The younger generation that is commenting they say, I am so uncomfortable saying if I don't like something. I am so uncomfortable speaking up. I am so uncomfortable saying how I feel. So they are not being taught to do that. And so they think just speaking face to face is confrontation, versus an actual confrontation, I would say, is like yelling or voices raised. That would be a confrontation. But like just speaking,
I hate my makeup.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing that I want to say, that as I've been thinking through this process, because all the makeup artists are making videos and they're like, we don't care. We don't care that you don't like it. We are here for you. Right. But there's a disconnect. The brides are not understanding that. And I think it's because they haven't learned yet, nor you have to be a business owner plus life experience to get this. But their feelings would be hurt if someone didn't like what they did. And so it's a projection. So because their feelings would be hurt, they think our feelings will be hurt. So that's something I just want to say too, is we are professionals. You are not going to hurt our feelings, because we're here to give you like, you're paying us to do this. And we don't know what you wear on the daily. And we don't know, it's a learning experience. Like, we're not going to nail it every time. Sometimes it happens. I've had brides that we've had to do 2 or 3 previews because the first one wasn't bad, but she's like, I think I want this a little different, or I think I want this a little different. Like we have to learn to speak together. We don't have a long time, especially in hair and makeup. Like with planners, you guys are invested for a year or more. You learn the personalities, you learn their language, you learn everything. We get an hour to preview, maybe. Sometimes they don't book that. And then an hour at the wedding. So we are with her for 2 hours and we have to learn to read her body language. We have to learn her personality. We have to, you know what I mean? Learn how she speaks without speaking. So that's not a lot of time. And so we need to work together. We need her to tell us, I don't like it. Our feelings are not going to be hurt because we are here to serve you. Just because you feel that your feelings would be hurt, you have to understand that as professionals and business owners, we are different. We are different in that. Like, we are not going to get hurt. It hurts us for you not to speak up more so. You know what I mean? So
yes. And actually, I think planners on any wedding vendor, but any creative really has the same. Like, I tell our clients all the time, I'm like, I've designed my wedding. I've designed my dream wedding. I want to design your dream wedding. So you're not going to hurt my feelings at all if I put together a design and you're like, I don't feel like that's actually what's in my head. Great, let's figure that out, because I'd rather you tell me now than find out after your wedding that you sat and cried because you hated the linens that whatever. And so I think it's important, but this generation, to your point, hasn't been taught. Like, they think it's more offensive to say something in person, when in this case, had we just said something, then it could have been fixed, right? But instead, they think it's nicer to make a video about it and put it on the internet for the entire world to weigh in. And I don't understand that. But as wedding professionals, as creatives, as service providers, we have to understand that that is not going away. I think that we have to learn to manage that expectation and also talk to our clients about it. Like, really get in front of it and say, hey, if there's ever anything that you maybe aren't happy with or that you'd like to change, please let me know, because we're happy to fix it. And I know we all do that. But I think more and more this generation they just think they should give their reviews to the entire world instead of tell the service provider they weren't happy.
agreed. And to that point too, I think they don't realize how far it spreads. I think they say it, and they post it, and then they don't realize the ripple effect it can have.
Yeah, and I definitely think that happened with this bride. She has shut down her account, and that is sad that happened. But I think having 2 teenagers, both of which are very, very social media, like they're both have somewhat of social media personal brands. This is something we talk about all the time. I'm like, in your head, when you go to post that video, you're only envisioning 30 people at max. Like, you're envisioning your friends, maybe some online friends that you talk to. Like, you're not envisioning that this could reach tens of thousands of people, right? Who don't know you, who don't know your intention, who don't know your personality, and are now going to judge you based on this video that you've posted. So you have to be so careful about what you put online, how you say it, what you say, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and you're right. It's not going away. So as now I'm aware this can happen. Nothing was done wrong. It would be, thankfully, and I've told my team, like, girls, now we have to be more above board and to please not engage in anyone that wants to talk about it. And I do feel for the bride. I feel for her. She's getting terrible. I've read the comments, like, people are just people, and behind a screen, that's what I'm saying. Behind a screen, it's easy to be so mean and so awful to other people, but they would never say that to her face if they saw her, and I really feel for her, because she's also going through it in a different way. And it's I really do feel for her.
No, I agree with you 100%. I think that it's unfortunate because, kind of like I said, that we teach our daughters, like, nobody knows your heart and intention behind something. It could have been meant for anything, right? It could have been meant just to be lighthearted. It could have been meant for anything. Unfortunately, it looked like she was trying to take you down. And that's the sad part about it, right? Whether that was the intent or not, we don't know. But what I love about it is that you did not feed the drama. You addressed it head on. And I think so much to learn from this. If you are a wedding vendor, if you're a service provider at all, and you're listening to this, I want you to listen to how unemotional Kandra was in that response. And I guess I shouldn't actually even say unemotional, Kandra, because you got choked up at part of the video.
I mean, it was hard, but I unemotional in the, like, vindictive way. Like, I wasn't out to tear her down or be rude or mean. Yeah.
No, and you kept to the facts. And even since all of this has happened, I think that you've seen it for what the good from it, and you're trying to steward it well. And I am so excited to see what happens with your business from this. You know, whether that turns into some sort of a personal brand at some point, because now everybody knows you with the pink hair and they want to know more about you and your business. So I'm really excited to see all the opportunities that come your way from this. And 7 days ago, you had no idea that your life would look like this. So a lot can change in a
Yeah,
week.
it is.
But anything else that you want to share with anybody that's listening just about the situation, or any advice that you'd give?
I would say before, if anything like this happens, do not go with your knee-jerk reaction. Let yourself cool down a bit. Speak to people you trust and who will guide you in a unemotional way as well. I couldn't imagine handling this on my own. Like if I didn't reach out for support and to get advice, I probably would have done something wrong. Or you know, like you need like your circle of people that you can trust, that who will help you make good decisions and who will tell you if it's a bad decision. Like if I was coming to you and being like, I want to do this, that, and the other, you would have said that's not a great idea. You know what I mean? So you need those people too that are gonna not just be your yes men, you need yes women. You need them, the ones that will hold you accountable but support you and guide you through any situation.
Yeah. And I think, Kandra, you shared a lot about your community. You have a networking community, you have friends in the industry, you have our group. And I just want to encourage anybody who's listening to this, like, entrepreneurship can be very, very lonely and isolating. And the whole reason that you want to make sure that you have a great network, that you have people that you can talk to, are for situations like this. Hopefully not a situation quite like this, because, Kandra, I think this broke the internet. But I do think, it's important to have that support system so that you can lean on them when anything happens in your business, because it can be difficult when you're by yourself. So, Kandra, I appreciate you being so open and so vulnerable with this story and letting us see a little bit behind the scenes of how you handled it. And we're all going to be cheering you on and excited to see the turn this takes over the next couple months.
Thank you, Brandy. Thanks for chatting with me and supporting me through this.
Of course.